Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Single best idea. And lots to talk about here. The markets, a real movement a couple days ago off of maybe the Supreme Court questioning and up and back and vacillating and that, trying to set up to get to the end of the fourth quarter. And of course, arching over all of this is the government shutdown. Anna Wong, just absolutely brilliant today with her direct knowledge of how these institutions run. Dr. Wong of Bloomberg Economics, really, really quite good. What a joy. And sometimes you make your luck. Holger Schmieding with us, and our team knew to get Holger Schmieding of Berenberg Bank in is the Bank of England news was released. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so what? Bank of England, nobody cares. Guess what? For America and for everybody within economics, finance, investment, and international relations, today the Bank of England mattered. Why? It was a 5-4 decision. I can't say enough about the nakedness of their approach versus the choreographed ballet of the Washington Fed. A 5-4 decision there. Governor Bailey's headlines were absolutely riveting. Holger Schmieding of Berenberg Bank on the Bank of England on the Fed.
I would say it's a good talking point, but dissent on its own is not always good. It depends on what the arguments are. And in a way, this dissent shows that we are in rather uncertain times. Yeah. The Bank of England really is having in a quandary. Inflation very high, but the economy likely to slow. So what do they do?
In the reset to a higher inflation rate, going from 1.92% out to 2.x, dare I say 3%. There's a culture for that in America. Maybe there's a culture for that in pre-Brexit England. In Germany, to quote the economist Bart Simpson, They're going to have a cow. How is Germany going to react to a new higher inflation regime?
Well, Germany will probably be part of the higher inflation regime for a simple reason. We have labor shortages coming across most of the advanced world, especially in the US, thanks to, net immigration dropping to zero over here. And in Europe, demography plays a role.
What a joy to have Holger Schmieding in our studios in New York. He's just absolutely definitive on the continent. There's an assumption here, folks, that at some point out there, for any number of reasons, including Chinese dynamics, that we see the opposite of inflation or disinflation. The when of that is a huge mystery. Brian Belski with us today, a legendary at BMO Capital Markets. He has been someone who has said, participate in the market, have the courage to believe in the American experiment. He sets up shop out of Tampa and Minnesota. Brian Belski and his team at Humulus Investment. Here is Belski on the moment at hand for the stock market.
I think we're in kind of this conundrum right now. Markets actually have held in there a little bit better than we thought. We thought we'd actually get a little bit more of a pullback here. I think one of the problems with the market is there are too many bulls here at the end of this big bull cycle, or at least the end of the big move this year. And we really believe that macro has really done a disservice to investors really since 2009. Now, your question is, what happens when we get a flood of all this data? Again, it could be information overload. And at the end of the day, we're kind of looking forward with respect to what the outlet's going to be in terms of these job losses that we keep hearing about and what the Fed's going to do in 2026. I think this backup in yields to 5% clearly has put a dampening on the broadening out trade on a near-term basis.
Brian Belski of Humulus, what am I going to do when there's a shutdown? And there's any number of opinions on this. Anna Wong was brilliant about if we get to, I believe it's next Saturday, like 8-9 days away, then it's a mystery to December. I don't know anything about that. What I do know is I'm going to really pay attention to Jason Furman's wonderful work at Harvard, where he teaches Ec 10 on annualized rates of inflation once we get the data in. And I'm also going to look to Anna Wong and her wonderful work with Bloomberg Economics, the granularity. You know, we make jokes about it. We talk to Anna Wong about McDonald's and all that. The work the granularity of what all of our guests do is not to be underestimated. We're out on Apple, on Spotify. Thank you, particularly to the Pacific Rim, for a big Spotify presence, and on YouTube podcasts. It's single best idea.